Hey, what's up everyone? This is Zach, and I am here with a ranking video for you guys. Actually, a re-ranking for Progressive Metal Legends Dream Theater. Now, the last time I ranked Dream Theater's discography was quite a while ago, and it was before they released A View from the Top of the World and Parisomnia. So Dream Theater has put out 2 new albums since I last ranked this band's discography. So I think a new ranking is overdue, don't you think? So, of course, we're going to go from worst to best based off my opinion, of course. And there might have been some slight changes in my ranking since the last time, but we'll go ahead and get into it. So, what I have last, actually, I don't have it here in the room, but it's their debut album, When Dream and Day Unite. I do have this album on CD, but I just don't have it on me right now. But it's a decent album. It's not terrible or anything. This was the only album that Dream Theater put out in the 80s. This, of course, had a different vocalist on it before James LaBrie came to the band. I think his name is Charlie. And I think he has passed away as well, so may he rest in peace. Not a bad singer, but it's definitely the album of theirs that I return to the least. But there are some good stuff on this album, like Afterlife. That's probably my favorite song on this album. But I think another thing about this album is it is very 80s. It definitely sounds very much of its time. You know, it's definitely very different compared to anything that Dream Theater has done afterwards. And I think that, you know, when James LaBrie came to the band, it was really an improvement, I would say. But When Dream and Day Unite, it's an okay, decent album. You know, it has some highlights, but it's got to be last for me. So next, we have the Astonishing, one of their concept albums, which I know some people would place this album last, but there's actually some songs that I do like from this album. Chosen, I think, is honestly one of the best ballads from Dream Theater. I do like that song. And of course, you have The Gift of Music, and you have Our New World, Act of Faith, another solid ballad from Dream Theater. But yeah, this album, it's definitely one of their weakest, but it does have a few songs that I go back to time, and some very good stuff, I would say. But I think this album's biggest problem is it is way too long. I mean, it does not need to be 2 discs. I mean, you could easily just take the best songs from each disc and just make one really good Dream Theater album. I mean, that's what they should have done with this album, but they just didn't go through with that direction. But yeah, another concept album from Dream Theater. I think it could have been done better, though. But The Astonishing, definitely one of their weakest, but it does have its highlights, though. It does still have some good songs. So next, Distance Over Time. Now, I know there's a lot of fans of Dream Theater that do like this album. I know there's some people that do agree that this is closer to the lower half of the ranking. I do remember when this came out, actually. It is a pretty good album, but I just don't think it's one of their best. I do like Untethered Angel. I do remember when that came out as a single. I do like that song quite a bit, and it's definitely one of my favorites on the album. Paralyzed, I've seen some people say that has like a post-grunge type of feel to it, like the way that the song is structured, like it's structured like a song you would get from Breaking Benjamin or something, but I could definitely hear that. S2N, probably another one of my favorites on the album, same with Pale Blue Dot, another good song, but I think with this album, there's just not a lot of replay value, and I think that's why I have this album in the lower half of this ranking, because there's songs like Fall Into the Light, Barstool Warrior, Room 137. I don't really return to these songs very much, but yeah, but it does have some very good tracks, some very good songs from Dream Theater. So Distance Over Time, good, but I wouldn't say great or amazing or anything. So next, the self-titled album, Dream Theater. A good album. Again, not one of their best, but a good album. And there's actually some songs on this album that have really grown on me. Like Behind the Veil. I used to not really like this song that much, but I do like that song quite a bit now. I think it has some very good vocals from James Labrie. And of course, you have the fan favorites on here like The Enemy Inside, The Looking Glass, and Illumination Theory. Those are, of course, solid songs. But yeah, the self-titled album, again, like with this Distance Over Time, I'd say it's good, but not great. There's definitely some solid stuff on this album for sure. All right, so next we've got A Dramatic Turn of Events. A good album, definitely a very good album with some very good songs. On the Back of Angels, very solid opening track. Definitely one of my favorites on this album. Build Me Up, Break Me Down, very catchy. It's a more accessible sounding song, but I do like that one. This Is the Life, I do like. You also have Breaking All Illusions, probably another favorite of mine on the album. The reason it's in the lower half is because, well, compared to the other albums that are over this, some of these songs do lack replay value, but there's some really good stuff on this album for sure. And I'd still say it's worth checking out for sure. So A Dramatic Turn of Events, good album. Next, we've got Black Clouds and Silver Linings. A good album for sure. Nightmare to Remember, good song. A Rite of Passage. Wither, which is, of course, one of the more accessible songs on this album. The Shattered Fortress, Best of Times. Good stuff, good stuff. Another very solid Dream Theater release. So Black Clouds and Silver Linings, good album for sure. And then next we have Systematic Chaos. And this is probably one of the heaviest albums that Dream Theater has ever put out. There's some good stuff on this album for sure. Like, of course, In the Presence of Enemies, Part 1 and 2. Very solid. You got Forsaken, Constant Motion, and my favorite on this album probably being The Dark Eternal Night. What a great song this is. I really dig just about everything about this song. I dig how aggressive this song is and how, it's kind of different for Dream Theater in some ways. But this album does have one of Dream Theater's worst songs, and that would, of course, be Prophets of War. I could never get into this song, and I know that other fans say the same thing, but I still think it's a good album. So Systematic Chaos, a good album for sure. Not one of their best, but a good album. Next, Falling Into Infinity, which I know some Dream Theater fans may have this one lower, which I do understand. It sounds more like prog rock than metal, and it's a bit more accessible and all of that, but I think the album is still quite good. New Millennium is a good song. You Not Me I like. Peruvian Skies, Hollow Years, Burning My Soul, Lines in the Sand. There's a lot of great stuff on this album. Trial of Tears, come on now. But yeah, Falling Into Infinity, good album. It's actually quite good. Next, A View from the Top of the World. I know there's a lot of Dream Theater fans that don't like this album. I know there's a lot of fans that would actually place this close to the bottom of the ranking, but not for me. I have always liked this album ever since it first came out. I mean, the weakest song on this album has to be The Alien, which was the first single, but even in saying that, I still think that that song is good. It's still a good track, but I also do like Answering the Call, Sleeping Giant, and Transcending Time. Transcending Time, if you are a fan of Rush, definitely check out Transcending Time. That's a really good song, probably one of my favorites on the album. Awaken the Master, and of course, the title track, very good. A really good epic from this album. This album, I felt, was somewhat of a return to form for Dream Theater, but I felt like they returned more to form, if that makes any sense, with the next album that came after this. I mean, I think that they got even closer to what they were before with the next album, but this is still pretty close. It's still pretty close to a return to form for Dream Theater. So A View from the Top of the World, I'd say it's solid, good album. But, of course, next, their latest album, Parisomnia. And this sees Mike Portnoy coming back to the band on drums, and a very strong album. And this is definitely, I would say, a return to form. If you like 2000s Dream Theater, this is definitely going to be up your alley. Some very good stuff on this album. Night Terror, definitely one of my favorites on the album. That was the first single. Really like that song. Dead Asleep, really good. Midnight Messiah and Bend the Clock, I do like as well. And of course, the Shadow Man Incident, which is the epic on the album, very good. It is darker than A View from the Top of the World, and I think that this is an improvement. I think that this is an improvement from their last album, and yeah, hopefully from this point on, they keep getting better. So yeah, Parisomnia, really good album, and definitely probably their best album in years as well. So yeah, really good one. So next, Octavarium. And I know that this is a fan favorite for many Dream Theater fans, and yeah, it's a strong album for sure. Of course, you have The Root of All Evil, which is a very strong opening track. You have The Answer Lies Within, These Walls. You have Panic Attack, another fan favorite from this album, Never Enough. Sacrifice Sons, which I think is pretty underrated. And then, of course, you have the epic title track. So, Octavarium, strong album. Very good album from the band. So next, now it's funny because this album here used to be ranked at number 3 for me. So it has kind of fallen down a bit in my ranking. There's other albums in their discography that I just happen to enjoy more than this, but I still really do like this album a lot. It's still a great album, and this is definitely one of the better concept albums from the band. Definitely better than the Astonishing, and that is, of course, Metropolis Part II, Scenes from a Memory. Definitely a great album. Of course, you have Strange Deja Vu, you have Fatal Tragedy, you have The Spirit Carries On, which is definitely one of their best ballads, and The Dance of Eternity. Some of their best work is found on this album, so Metropolis Part II, great album for sure. It used to be number 3 for me, but dare I say that this album has kind of... There's just other albums from the band that I prefer more. I know there's a lot of fans that would rank this number 1, which I totally get it. I understand why. I still think it's a great album, though, and definitely worth checking out if you haven't checked it out yet. So, great album. But next, 6 Degrees of InnerTurbulence. Definitely another very strong album from the band. The Glass Prison, what a great opening track this is. You have Blind Faith, Misunderstood, The Great Debate, and you have About to Crash on here, which I think is kind of underrated, to be honest. But yeah, there's some very strong stuff on this album for sure. So, 6 Degrees of InnerTurbulence, great album from Dream Theater. This album has really grown on me over the years, and really like this one. So now here we are at the top 3. So number 3, Train of Thought. The album that came after 6 Degrees of InnerTurbulence. But yeah, Train of Thought, great album. This is probably Dream Theater's heaviest album. And I've always really enjoyed this album. Of course, you have As I Am, one of their best songs. This Dying Soul, Endless Sacrifice, Stream of Consequences. But just really great stuff. Oh, and then Honor Thy Father, another solid track. But yeah, some of their best work, some of their heaviest work. So, Train of Thought, great album. Now, number 2 and number 1, they can go back and forth for me. You probably already know what they are at this point. These are both classics, but number 2, I gotta go with Awake. And this was actually the first Dream Theater album that I've ever listened to. This was the album that got me into the band, and I still think it holds up. It's still a great album all these years later. I mean, some very good stuff on here. 6 O'Clock, Caught in a Web, Innocence Faded. You have The Mirror, The Silent Man. You have Lifting Shadows Off a Dream, and of course the classic fan favorite Lie. So, very good stuff. You cannot go wrong with this album. Easily one of Dream Theater's best. Awake, definitely a great album. But, of course, at number 1, it's got to be the fan favorite, the classic, Images and Words. And this definitely has some of their best work, some fan favorite songs from the band, like, of course, Pull Me Under, Another Day, and Take the Time. These songs are excellent. I mean, honestly, there is not a weak moment on this album. I mean, if I had to choose the weakest song on the album, it would probably be the song Wait for Sleep. But even then, I think that song's still pretty good. And Learning to Live, that song doesn't really get brought up or talked about a whole lot, but I do dig that song and probably one of my favorite closing tracks from the band. Surrounded and Under a Glass Moon and Metropolis Part I are also great as well. I mean, every song on here, just great. A great album from start to finish. Images and Words, great album. So that's what's coming in at number 1. But let me know what you think. How would you rank the Dream Theater discography? This was my re-ranking. Feel free to let me know what you think. What did you think of this ranking? Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thanks for watching. Have a good one.